All right, so today I want to try out the Mars retrogression technique that Varahamihira um, gave us in Brihat Samhita. So today will be more practical. If you're on Facebook, you might want to go over to my YouTube stream because I'll have the charts and stuff on the YouTube stream, not on the Facebook stream. All right, so what we want to do is find a place where Mars emerges from combustion with the sun. Now that means that we're going to have to find out where the combustion from the sun ends. So why don't we do a quick Google on that? And then we're going to find where Mars goes retrograde. And then we're going to find where Mars disappears into the sun again. So let me just do a quick research on this. Forgive me. Mars combustion. Orb. Six to 8 degrees. 17 degrees. 'Let's find this. Mars reappears. Distance from sun. No. 12 degrees. Okay, so let me just confirm this. Mercury is 12. Jupiter's 11. Saturn 15. Mars 17. Let's find the true places of the sun. This is from Prussia. This is from Surya Siddhanta. It says find the true places of the sun and the planet when the planets determine the place of the rise of the sun. Ugh, this is very difficult. We're going to take for today's test, for today's trying out, we're going to use the Mars combustion. And then which I think is 12 degrees. Mars combustion degrees. 17. Okay, so we're going to use 17 degrees. Why don't we use 15 degrees as the thing and see how close it is? So what we want to do first is find out let's take a look and see where the last conjunction of Mars and the sun was. Let's start there. So we'll go over to software. We'll get a new one. Mars. Called the Mars Retrogression Experiment. All right, so what you want to do is just swing this thing around until you find a Mars-Sun conjunction. So starting from today, we'll go back in time. And we'll need to get Mars pretty close to the sun. So we'll skip back by months. Mm-hmm. Now that we're pretty close, we'll skip back by weeks. And now we got them in the same sign in Libra in October. So let's go and just get an exact conjunction. We need to go ahead, I think. Wait, what's going on? Mars is moving forward slower than the sun. If we go back, I see. Probably easier to do this with a circle, huh? A wheel. We're almost there. We almost found the Mars-Sun conjunction. Here it is. You can see how exciting astrological research is. Is this it? Where do we actually get it? This is pretty damn close to exact. So September 3rd, 2019. So let's make some notes on what was going on September 3rd, 2019. I'll take out a little piece of paper to make a note. Just a sec. All right, so we got Mars-Sun conjunction. It occurred September 3rd, 2019. It was 10 degrees Virgo. 10 degrees Virgo. The declination on Mars was 8 degrees north. Eight degrees north. The declination on the sun was 7 degrees north. 7 and 44. 8:48. Mars was 8:48. 8 degrees 48 minutes north, and the sun was 7 degrees. So they're pretty close. 7 degrees 44 minutes. They were within 1 degree. So this, you want to bear this in mind, that this might count as a cazimi. Yeah, right? This might count as, cazimi, right in the heart of the sun, which is a special combustion that gives the planet particular power. So this might be, we'll make a note that may be a cazimi. All right. So we found this. Now, what we want to do is find the time where Mars reappears, which should be about 17 degrees. So let's get Mars 17 degrees away from the sun again. If we'll switch forward in time. One day is like half a degree that they get to be different. So now when we got them at 6 degrees apart, you still wouldn't be able to see Mars. Now we get them 7 degrees apart, you still wouldn't be able to see Mars. Now they're 11 degrees, now they're 12 degrees apart by October 8th. You still wouldn't be able to see Mars. I doubt that you would be able to see Mars if it's 12 degrees apart. Because, now the reason why the different planets have different... Let me speculate on the reason why the different planets have different orbs of combustion. It's because of their relative brightness. So a planet that's very dim, it's probably a combination of the relative brightness and the angle that they have to the sun from Earth. it allows them to come out from the sun's brightness soon enough. What it means is that the sky is going to not exactly be dark because it's still close. The planet is still close to the sun, so the sun will set or be before the sun rises. Not so much before or after the setting or the rising, so the sun won't exactly be dark. So the planet will have to be a bit brighter to be seen sooner. So Mars, it takes about 17 degrees, we think. If somebody wants to confirm or get a correction on that, that would be fine. But let's do this for now. We got, what is this now? Here we got the sun. Okay. So when the sun got into Scorpio, Mars was at 12 degrees 15 minutes of Libra. So that's 15, 16, 17, 18. That would be 17, 16, 15. So we would be looking at October 21st. You got 17 degrees plus a little tiny bit. On October 21st, the sun is at the end of Libra. So let's make a note of those coordinates and those conditions and that date. So what I'll do is I'll make a note here. October 21st, 2019. We care mostly about Mars, right? So, but we might as well note the sun too, just in case or we want to research something later. Sun is 27 degrees, 18 minutes. Libra. Mars is 10 degrees, 52 minutes. Libra. Mars declination, in case we care about it, is 3. That's interesting. 3 degrees, 29 minutes south. So Mars has moved south a lot over this month since it was conjoined with the sun. I might want to rewind and make sure I got that correct. And then the sun's declination has also gone south 10 degrees. (31). 10 degrees, 31 minutes south. Okay, I'm just going to rewind this to September 3rd and make sure I got my declinations right. (7:40). It's amazing how much they move north and south. Yep, that was right. Okay, so later we'll figure out the nakshatra. Or how about right now we figure out the nakshatras? To do the nakshatras, I have to, on this software, I have to switch manually to Lahiri. And now I can take notes that at the conjunction, the sun was Purva Palguni. And Mars, okay, obviously they were both Purva Palguni. Purva Palguni. And then for October 21st, October 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, 23rd, 22nd, 21st. For that, the sun was in Chitra, and Mars, which we really care about, was Hasta. Okay. So Varahamihira said that you need to know the nakshatra of Mars when it reappears, when it rises from the sun. So that we have now is Hasta. Now what we want to, next thing he tells us we need to know is where Mars retrogrades. So that means that we're looking for the station where Mars ceases to move direct and begins to move retrograde. So to do that, we might as well, we keep an eye on the speed. See, I have one column on the screen here for speed. So we'll go forward by week. Mars' speed is now 39 minutes per day. Still 39. Now it's 40, so it's increasing its speed. 41, 42. Now it's slowing down again. So as we get to May of now, it's slowing down again. So we're going to get a prediction out of this, actually. That means we'll need to do one more to see if it's accurate. It's slowing down now, 33. Now it's rapidly slowing down. 29 degrees, 22 minutes, per day, 14 minutes per day, 8 minutes per day. Rapidly slowing down in August. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 minutes per day, 2 minutes per day by September, 1 minute per day. There we go. So September 10th of 2020 is going to be the retrogression of Mars. It's going to stop moving forward and start to move back. That's called the station. Stations are the most important part of the retrogression and direct movement cycle for your interpretation. So let's make a note of that. Mars retrogression. It will be on September 10th, 2020. Mars will be in Aries, 28 degrees, 8 minutes. At the declination of 6 degrees and 51 minutes north. And the nakshatra, which is the key thing. So again, I just need to manually swap this software. The nakshatra is Ashwini. Ashwini. Wow. Anyway, let's use his technique. The nakshatra is Ashwini. Made a note. Now, there's a third part to the technique. The third part of data that you still have to collect is when will Mars go into the sun again and disappear? Okay. So let's do that now. Let's find out when the sun is going to go again into the sun. Just burn the sun. So that means moving towards the sun and getting to 17 degrees away from the sun as it moves towards it. Appearing from the sun is moving away from the sun and getting 17 degrees away. So we want to keep fast forwarding probably a few months. Probably quite a few months now because it's retrograde. The retrogression has to stop now. It has to move forward again. Oh, how interesting this is. Let's slow this down to show you what actually happened. Mars now goes retrograde here, right? And you see it's practically 180 degrees opposite from the sun. So it was trying to go Scorpio. It's trying to go in the direction, forward direction, and complete a circuit with the sun. But watch what actually happens. It turns around because of the retrogression, so it starts to go back. Meanwhile, the sun, of course, continues going forward. So now the sun is closing distance. So by the time Mars stops its retrogression, it's gotten to be about trine to the sun. Now, the way that the speed works is it takes a while for the planet to speed up and slow down before it changes direction. So here it's got a speed, on November of 2020, it's got a speed of just 10 minutes per day. Then 15 minutes per day, where meanwhile the sun has 1 degree per day. So as we go forward in time, now the sun is getting square to Mars because it's catching up to Mars. As we get to February 2021, it's still square. So it's very interesting to do a practical on this and see how long the cycles are. Oh, I need to plug in this. 1 second. Okay, now I got some electricity going. So if we continue forward, we're going to have to forward, boom, 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 boom. Sun is now almost sextile. Because Mars still hasn't gotten to a degree. It's 42 minutes. The sun's going to catch up now. So now we're in June of 2021, and we're getting the sun catching up to Mars. Is it going to continue that way? Yes. So let's see how this works. Now the sun is about 30 degrees away from Mars. So it's swallowing Mars. So Mars is going to disappear because the degrees are decreasing. The distance from the sun is decreasing. So now we got the sun within 25 degrees. What's that? 12 degrees. So let me back up a little bit. That is 18 degrees, maybe 17 degrees right here. 22 is 8 to get to 30. That's 18. 23, 7. So that's still 18. 25 is 5, and Mars is 12. That's 17. So we're looking at August 18th, 2021, when Mars will disappear into the sun once again. Now you know why you don't do a whole astrological reading with the astrologer. Actually, the guy's got to prepare first because all this stuff bores you to death, doesn't it? But this is, but for those of you who are interested in how to do these kind of research, or these kind of experiments, this is the kind of stuff you do. You sit around and you click buttons and do addition and subtraction until you find the thing you're looking for. So now we're going to take a note on Mars setting, heliacal setting is August 18th, 2021. The Mars and Sun. Mars is at 7 degrees, 57 minutes. Let me see what kind of. This is what's annoying about the software where you have to switch back and forth. Mars is at 7 degrees, 57 minutes, Virgo. And the declination, in case we want to know it, is 7 degrees. No, that's so stupid. That was the declination. 7 degrees, 57 minutes it's at 12 degrees, 5 minutes Virgo, at 7 degrees, 57 minutes north. And so that nakshatra is Purva Phalguni. Okay. So now we got our data. Now we can go and see what Varahamihira tells us to do with this data. So I'm thinking I'm going to switch this off now. I'll come up here. All right. So Varahamihira, as far as we understood, as far as I understood his technique, is you count the number of nakshatras from Mars's emergence to Mars's station. And that puts the retrogression into a certain category. So let's see what category this retrogression cycle falls into. We'll do that first by counting them. Let me get a little wheel on. We can count it together so that you guys can see how to count. Which sounds funny, but it's often confusing. So let me see if I can get this share. Oh, cancel that. Give this. Do a window capture. We're going to do this. And now it's gigantically huge. So we'll just kind of make it reasonably viewable. Today is very non-dramatic, isn't it? Non-theatrical live stream. A live stream for the Virgos. Okay. Here we go. So now we want to place the nakshatra where Mars emerged was Purva Phalguni. So let's just find Purva Phalguni. It's right here. Hopefully you can see my cursor as well. I'm not sure if you can. Here, maybe you can see it. It's Purva Phalguni. Then it's going to do its station in Ashvini. So you're going to go forward on the wheel. You start here. You count Purva Phalguni as 1, 2 Uttara Phalguni, 3 Hasta, 4 Chitra, 5 Swati, 6 Vishaka, 7 Anuradha, 8 Jeshta, 9 Mula, 10 Purvashada, 11 Uttarashada, 12 Shravana, 13 Dhanishta, 14 Shatabhishak, 15 Purvabhadrapada, 16 Uttarabhadrapada, 17 Revati, 18 Ashwini. So we got this, takes 18 nakshatras. 18 from rising. Now, let's see how he categorized that. And he's got other stuff. Doing this practically actually is pretty important because we can perhaps make sense out of stuff that seemed unrelated later. So he said if it retrogrades from 17 or 18. 18 is the widest that Mars could possibly retrograde. Mars could retrograde as soon as 7 and as late as 18 nakshatras away from its conjunction emergence from the sun. So if it's 18, it's known as Atimushala. And it says, when Mars is in his retrograde motion, is that a typograph or not? It's interesting. He gives different things. See, when you actually try to do it practically, you pay more attention. So if he should begin to retrograde from the 17th or 18th constellation, I'm going to have to look this up in another translation as well. From that of his reappearance, such retrograde motion is called Atimushala. When Mars is in his retrograde motion, that's what I want to check. Bands of robbers will be afflicted with distress. Bands of robbers will be afflicted with distress. We have to check this translation. There will be drought and wars in the land. Now let's see if every Mars retrogression is negative or if it's just this one. Nope. Some of them have some prosperities. But specifically for disease was specifically mentioned in other retrogrades. Let's check the other version of this book. It may take me a minute to get there. I gotta scroll to the right page now. Mars. Hey, that was fast. I got there already. When the retrograde motion begins at the 17th or 18th star counted from the one occupied Mars at his conjunction with the Sun, it is known as Asimushala. That seems to be a typographical error in the Sanskrit. But anyway, when Mars begins his direct motion after this, there will be trouble from bands of robbers, drought, and risk from weapons. All right, so what he's saying is if it's the 18th or 17th, then the effect comes when he begins direct motion. So we need to look that up, when the direct motion is. And he says that you're going to get like lack of law, so that lawbreakers start to proliferate and cause problems in society. You get drought, which means lack of resource. You're going to have lack of water, lack of resources in general, necessary resources. And risk from weapons, which means people will be violent and there might be a war. But I want to check this. When the retrograde Mars at its conjunction with the Sun. And then this other one is saying when Mars emerges from his last conjunction with the Sun. Emerges from. At the time of the eclipse. That makes it actually simpler. Next eclipsed. See, it's hard to understand. Well, let's do this. This is another thing by practical. You can test the two different possible interpretations of the text. Last emergence from the Sun's conjunction. Note the asterism occupied by Mars at the time he emerges. After. Okay, so we've done it right. So, there's one bit of data then that we didn't get, that we need to get. We need to see when did Mars begin its direct motion after the retrogression was finished, because for the 17th and 18th nakshatra retrogression, the effect comes then. When Mars begins its direct motion, there will be trouble. Okay, let's see. So we had our notes will become helpful that the retrogression was September 10th, so we can fast forward back to September 10th. Oh, let me give you this visual now. And fast forward back to September 10th, 2020. September, August, September. September 17th, it's still going retrograde. September 18th, September 25th is still going retrograde. October 2nd is still going retrograde. October 9th is still. So what we're going to do is we're going to become as famous and popular as Abhigya. And we're going to give a dire prediction of war. And then when it comes true, if it comes true, we're going to make some new videos about that. All right, so it's still going retrograde October 30th, still going retrograde November 6th. Bam. It has ceased to go retrograde on this day, November 15th. So, according to Varahamihira, on November 15th of this year, there should be a dire event. And the dire event should be a very notable proliferation of law breaking, so that society becomes really troubled by people breaking laws. Now, of course, nowadays you have the whole world that you can survey, so you can say, well, look, the gangs in San Salvador are going crazy. But they're always going crazy. Do we want to see something that's much worse than usual for us to feel like, wow, this was a useful prediction? So we want to see some outbreak of law breaking. Take a note of this, because probably I'm going to forget by November 15th. Especially if it doesn't happen. But please, you guys, there's enough of you watching that hopefully you can remind me. November 15th, we're supposed to have some outbreak of law, some significant lack of resources like drought, which specifically means survival resources. So lack of food, lack of water, and war, or violence. Maybe it could be a small scale, like a violent result in a protest or something like that. So let's test this out. But for this test, we have to wait a couple of months to see how it goes. So tomorrow, let's go and do the previous cycle, so that we can look back at the last one and see. It's just easier to test techniques about things that have happened in the past. But I didn't realize that this would go forward into the future, so I did it this way. But anyway, out of this, we got a possibility to make a stunning prediction. So I hope that was cool and useful for you guys. I've been doing a lot of book reading, so I thought it would be a good chance to put some of the stuff into practice, see how it works. And there's other information in this chapter that may help fine-tune this. So for the people in the future looking at this video and criticizing the false or praising the accurate prediction, there's still other information in this chapter about whether or not Mars is north or south. That's why I was recording the declinations. So maybe we'll do a three session series on this, because we also want to review that and possibly modify the prediction based on that. All right, guys, so that's going to be all for today. We're going to switch over to the Bhagavatam, which we're going to hear about how Yudhishthir meets Bhishma Dev on his deathbed and what Bhishma Dev says to Yudhishthir. So stick around for that. Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't actually look at anybody's comments today. But I'm sure they were all wonderful comments. Thank you, Bardo. All right, guys. So we're ending this.